I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the good old snip, spaying and neutering your dog. There is so many myths out there about this topic. I get this phone call every other day. We have a dog, he's aggressive, he's crazy, we fixed him, but it hasn't changed anything. The absence or presence of sexual organs on your dog does not impact my ability to train him or her, or my team's ability. If there is a dog trainer out there that tells you this, then they're probably not a good dog trainer to go to. The only impact might be if your dog is in heat, we're not gonna let her run loose with intact males unsupervised. A lot of people fix their dogs because they are told by certain entities that it is the responsible thing to do if you're a dog owner. Those entities are primarily veterinarians, retail rescue, and other pet owners. Now, there's two sides to this. Probably a little bit of ignorance, number one, because back in the day, I think it was, accepted that it was probably a good idea. Do it as soon as possible to avoid unwanted puppies and to fix it, to avoid unwanted behavior. And number two, there's some vested interest, guys. Probably the biggest moneymaker they have. I'm not saying that they're maliciously telling you to do it, but I am saying that there is some vested interest and it's undeniable. All right, so that's number one. Now we got retail rescues. Retail rescues are those big old rescues like the SPCA, the Humane Society. There's some other big ones I'm not even thinking of right now. And they're the ones that pull in millions of dollars every year in charitable donations. They got big boards of directors and they're lobbying government. These are the ones, they got their fingers in everything. Basically, they exist to perpetrate themselves from what I can see anyways. It is not necessary that you spay and neuter your dog in order to prevent unwanted puppies from existing. It is not easy for your dog, if you have an intact male, to impregnate a female, and vice versa. If you have an intact female, it's not easy for her to be impregnated. Females come into heat twice a year on average. Their average heat is between 10 and 14 days, okay? Within that heat cycle, there are maybe 3 days where she's viable. If the male gets her on one of those 3 days, you'll probably have puppies. Number two, let's pretend your intact male met an intact female and she was actually in season and she was ready to go. She was in that window. Guess what? It's not a bang, bang, we're done kind of thing. It is generally a long process. If you're a halfway diligent, you could be half asleep, you'll still spot it before it happens and you can take the necessary steps from preventing it from happening. You notice stuff. If they're bleeding actively, you'll notice like the spots of blood on the floor. You'll notice she starts really peeing, small little pees everywhere. She'll be licking herself a lot. If you have an intact male, his nose will be up her crotch and he'll be real interested in her at least like 2 weeks before she even starts bleeding. You got lots of worrying, okay? Now let's talk about behavior. A lot of people are like, oh, I got an intact male. Oh, I gotta be careful around intact females because he can't control himself, especially if they're in heat. What do you mean he can't control himself? That means you haven't been training him. My last intact male that I used for breeding, I would actually make him do obedience with me and then give him the female as a reward. And he knew she was ready to go and he wanted to breed her and he would listen to me and he would come off of her when he was told to come off of her and he would go to her when he was told to go to her. And he was by no means a super easy dog to handle. It's just good training, guys. If your dog understands the concept of have to, you're not gonna have problems with your dog around another dog in heat. So let's go over this again. Spaying and neutering your dog will not change your dog's behavior. If it was me, I would not spay and neuter a dog, and I do not spay and neuter my dogs unless there's a medical reason to do it. Let's talk about possible medical reasons to spay and neuter. Reason number one, you got a male with an undescended testicle. Still wait till he's 2 years old, then get him cut. That undescended testicle is actually more likely to have cancer than a testicle that is descended. Number two, if you have a female that has pyometra infections, get her spayed. It's for the best, okay? Number three, if you are in a position, like if you got a whole bunch of farm dogs and they're just loose on your farm and you're really not, you don't have the time or the inclination to pay attention, some situation like that, all right, wait till the dogs are old enough, then get them fixed. Those are the only circumstances that I would really fix a dog. Maybe there's some medical conditions I'm forgetting about, but other than that, guys, that's really it. And I'm gonna shout out to Rescue right now, Taffy's Legacy. If you get a chance to donate to them, if you're looking for a dog, they care about their dogs. They care about making sure their dogs get the training that a dog needs to have in order to do well. Unfortunately, a lot of the retail rescues, they've been completely subsumed by the positive-only force-free dog training movement. They are not at all interested in facts. They're not at all interested in scientific behavioral facts. They're only interested in self-perpetuation. So I got no time for them. Other than that, guys, that's my 2 cents on spaying and neutering. If you have any questions, post them below.